If you want to achieve something in your life, if you want to pursue a goal, if you have a plan that you want to implement it or you want to execute it, if you want to take action, if you have a dream that you are pursuing, you need to make a lot of sacrifices to achieve that dream, to achieve that goal, to make that your plan come to life. You need to make a lot of sacrifices. So in this video, I highlighted some of the uncomfortable sacrifices, especially the physical sacrifices that you need to make. If you want to achieve anything, you have to sacrifice your sleep. You have to make do with sleeping for a very short amount of time, because sometimes you will work late, sometimes you will not even sleep at all, but for 2 or 3 hours. I'm not saying that everybody that wants to achieve something should have to not sleep at all, but if you have a particular goal, if you have a particular dream that requires hard work, sleep deprivation is going to be, you have to like be very okay with being friends with sleep deprivation, because you are going to, there are some days that you will not sleep at all. There are some days that you probably have 2 or 3 hours of sleep, so you have to make do with that. You have to like wake up in the night, walk, you have to do a lot of things. Sometimes it is even in the night that you stand up and work. So you know that you're going to sacrifice your sleep if you want to achieve a very big project or a very big goal. Now, it's not for everybody. Some people, they know how to schedule their daytime to make sure they achieve that goal, whereas they use the night to complete rest. But most of the times, you have to just sacrifice part of your sleep to make sure that you're working in the night to meet up your target. Now, for example, if you are a writer, sometimes you have to write up to midnight, or sometimes even you have to wake up earlier than usual, maybe 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. to start writing. Sometimes it's even mental work that will require you to stay late, or that will require you to wake up very early just to do some mental work, maybe calculate some things, write some things down, make appointments, send that email, write that post and all that. So you have to make do with having to deprive yourself of quality sleep. Now, the second one is headache. If you deprive yourself of sleep, you have headache. It's inevitable. If you deprive yourself of sleep for a number of days, you start to have headache, or is it migraine? You start to have headache. Now, I'm not saying that you should start abusing pain reliever, but I'm just going to, we are talking about sacrifices that you need to make, and having a headache while doing your work is uncomfortable. We don't often talk about it, but it's uncomfortable, and it's something that you have to do with. Now, sometimes you work hard that you have headache. Sometimes it's because you do not sleep that you have headache. Sometimes it's because of the stress of you working overtime that you have headache. Now, the third thing is your eating habit will change. There are days that you're not fasting, no, but you forget to even eat food. Maybe you forget to eat your breakfast, or you forget to eat your lunch, or is it dinner? You skip some of your some of the meals. Now, no, it's not even because you're dieting or something, just because you are so caught up with work that you forget, or you skip, or you don't even have time to take lunch or to take your breakfast. Now, I'm not saying that you should do that, but it is inevitable if you are pursuing a project. Even if you are a student, sometimes you are in lectures throughout, you don't even have time to go and eat your lunch. Now, if you are not sleeping well, if you are not having a quality sleep, you have to make do with having eye bag all the time. Now, if you do not sleep early, if you don't have enough sleep, it's inevitable you start having eye bag. Now, that is where you see tutorials about how to reduce eye bag, how to like remove eye bag and all that, because they know that if you are not sleeping well, definitely you have to have eye bags under your eye. So sometimes you massage it and just you go about your day. But if you are someone who is conscious of your appearance, especially for ladies, you have to, if you're pursuing something and because you don't have enough time to sleep, to rest, you have to be carrying eye bag all the time under your eyes. Now it's inevitable. It's left for you to know how to go to accept it as part of like grinding and as part of making effort to make that your goal come to life. You have to make that sacrifice. Now, for those who are not conscious of their looks or who do not really care, this one is not really a big problem. But people who are conscious of their look, you have to do with carrying. And sometimes it's not even the eye bag alone. You have to like sometimes you, because you do not sleep, your eyes will be red and all that. Another sacrifice you have to do with, if you are pursuing your goal relentlessly, the sacrifice you have to make, the uncomfortable thing that you will experience if you're working hard, is you have to do with body ache, your back, your bum. Oh my goodness. Because you are so stressed, you will have to constantly be having body ache. Maybe if your back pain, maybe your legs, depending on the type of thing you do, maybe you have long hours of standing. Now it's left for you to find a way to exercise your muscle so that you will not have the constant muscle ache. That is where exercise comes into play. But know that if you are pursuing something, if you want to achieve something, some of the changes that you do, some of the stress that you have would eventually lead you to having muscle pain, back pain, shoulder pain, sometimes even the bum. You have that pain eventually. So you have to just know or find a way to like exercise your muscle and not let that thing affect you very much. Now, if you are someone who is outgoing, you have to sacrifice that part because sometimes you'll be caught up with working. Maybe even if you're a content creator, you are editing your stuff or you're trying to create content, and then your friend is like, come, let's go hang out, and then you don't have time. Sometimes you'll be invited, but you're so busy that you have to just sacrifice that thing and not go about. Now, I'm not saying that is a good thing for people who are outgoing, but just have it at the back of your mind that the moment you are pursuing a goal, especially a very big project, part of the sacrifices you have to make is that you have to know that you will not be going out often. You have to sacrifice your social life. That's just inevitable. Now, the another point is that you get confused. You will get confused. You will cry. You ask yourself why. This even for the people who are very tough, especially in the initial stage of something that you're doing or you're pursuing, and there's no hope or there's no green light that this thing is going to manifest or this thing is going to grow while you're still struggling, you sometimes you get confused. Sometimes is even a decision that you make that will confuse you. Sometimes it's even something that you do that it came back negative, that you start crying, especially for people who are emotionally weak. I'm not going to say emotionally weak, who cry often. So I'm also part of them. So you will cry. You ask yourself why. Why did I even embark on this project? Especially if that thing particular fail. Why did I embark on this project, or why am I pursuing this goal if it's just failure and failure and failure all the time? So sometimes you ask yourself, why are you even, there's confusion, and there is that moment where you are like, ugh, you are down. So it's also part of the inconveniences or the sacrifices that you will eventually have to deal with if you are pursuing a big project or a big goal. It doesn't matter if it is something that is maybe personal or if it is work related or business related. As long as you're pursuing something, especially something that is outside your comfort zone, something that you've never done before, you're going to experience this particular point I mentioned and even the previous ones I mentioned. Now, if you're a believer, maybe you're a Christian or a Muslim, there will be time where you're pursuing something, and then because you keep encountering failures, you start questioning your faith. You start asking God, like, why? God, why are you doing? The why I mentioned initially is, why did, in your own personal why, like, why did I even start this thing? Why am I doing this thing? Like, who sent me, self? Now, but this particular why is, you are, because of your faith in God, you believe, maybe you prayed over it, and now that thing is not, there's no success in it, there's no growth, you are not seeing it. You start asking, your faith will shake. You start asking God, why? Why are you abandoning me? Why are you not making this a success? But I prayed, but I did the right thing. But I sent that letter, but I show up for that interview, but I read for my exam, but I've been creating content and nothing is being going good so far. So you ask yourself, you ask God why, and then you feel, this is the part where you have to be strong and just keep believing and keep knowing that it's not your fault, and then things will eventually be good if you did not stop, if you did not give up. But definitely, if you're pursuing a very big project and you encounter a problems, there will be time, if you are a believer, and even if you are not a believer, but people like believe in universe, you'll be asking, like, the universe, why is the universe punishing me? But for people who believe in God, they'll be like, God, why? I beg, God, why? So there will be that also. Now, the last part that I want to talk about is your emotional um, well being. Now, irrespective of how strong you are, is irrespective of how strong you are emotionally, if you're pursuing a big project, sometimes the emotional breakdown is not really about the project not being good, but some of the sacrifices you make, maybe that project is affecting your social life, maybe with your wife, maybe with your girlfriend, maybe with your children, maybe with your friends. And then you are like, why am I doing this project that is not, or why am I pursuing this goal that is taking me away from my family, or that is taking me away from my friends, or that is making me to, like, be lonely or avoid so many things, or that is taking me away from God? For people who maybe they think because they have been so invested in that particular goal or in that particular project, they are now away from God, serving God. Maybe you are someone who is very prayerful, you used to go mosques often, or used to go to church often, but because you're pursuing a particular goal, you don't really have time to do that. So sometimes you get emotional breakdown because of that, and sometimes it's because the project or the goal is not, like, you're not seeing the growth, you're not seeing the success, you are encountering failures over and over again. And sometimes it's emotional breakdown because you feel you are a failure, like, why did I even start this thing? Sometimes it's because you procrastinate a lot and you like, oh, I'm a fool, oh, I'm stupid, I need to do this, I need to be strong, why am I not doing this right? Sometimes you find yourself emotionally broken, that it will really affect you. Sometimes it will even lead to depression, but you need to just keep going and know that. So if you are going to take anything from this video, know that if you're pursuing a goal, if you have a very big dream, whatever it is that that requires you to put hard work, that requires you to step outside your comfort zone, will come with some uncomfortable changes physically, emotionally, and even financially. So thank you for watching this video, and bye bye. See you on the next one.